Welcome back to She Can, where women lead by example by telling their stories of how they got to where they are today, sharing their insights and experiences to support others because it's easier to be what you can see. And I'm very excited to talk to Terry Grahl today. Terry, welcome to She Can. You're the
Thank you
founder.
for having me.
Oh, it's a delight to have you. You're the founder, visionary, and CEO of Enchanted Makeovers. You're the pioneers of change within shelters. You strive to inspire women and children living in shelters through your unique projects and programs. You transform the physical spaces in shelters through handmade items because you know that beauty heals and that your physical environment will change people. And if the space says that you matter, that makes a huge difference. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, Terry. How did you get to where you are today?
Oh, where do I begin? It was 2000 when my kids were full-time in school. 2005, I started a decorating business.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my mother that it would not be about decorating, but giving women hope. Now, that was just residential homes.
Mm.
And my first client, I went to her house, did a little redesign. I just felt the sadness in her home.
Mm.
And I didn't know her story. So I left a note on her counter and I said, on the note, it said, "Let me heal your home."
Mm.
So she called me the next day and she said, "Please, yes, I need your help." So I started with her kitchen, and it was just painting her walls, handmade curtains. And I would explain to my client, yes, you're getting a new tile, a new floor, but think of it as a new path for your
Mm.
life. Everything had a deeper meaning um, for my clients. And then when we were finished with the kitchen, she said, "Will you do my guest room?" And her guest room, I said, "What is the story going to be?" She said, "Well, my grandmother always, she was a big part of my life. And every Sunday we would have chocolate chip cookies and she would make me tea." So she had her grandmother's teapot. And I went on Etsy. I love Etsy. And I had these little chocolate chip cookies, these fake ones made. And there was a poem her grandmother always read to her. So I had that made and put on the wall. It was just little pieces of what her grandmother gave her. And I said, this place is now going to be like a meditation room, a
Mm.
place that you can it just filled with happiness and good memories. So the room was finished. And I said, before I leave, let's name your home. And she said, "I want to name it High Hopes." So there was a sign hung outside, and I moved on with clients. So a whole year had passed. And one day she called me and she said, one of my clients came in, and I began to share with him how you helped to heal me in my home. David explained that he did fundraising for a shelter for women and children.
Mm.
He's asking if you would just come and paint one wall at the shelter because nothing had ever been done. The shelter was an old post office where the women stayed for a year with their children.
Mm.
And that was 2006. December 06 is when I received the call. And January of 07, I did the visit of the entire shelter. And the last stop was the women's dorm, where 30 women stayed with their children in one huge room. Everything was broken. It was used prison beds. The bedspreads were from a nursing home. I'm about repurposing, but there was nothing we could repurpose. I asked,
Mm.
where are the dressers? Well, we used boxes. That was really the beginning. I mean, I always say there's no useless stepping stones in our life. People always feel like I wasted my time. I now know, looking back, my decorating business was just a little grain of salt to what truly I was being called,
Mm.
my purpose in life.
Yeah. Terry, and you contacted me, which made me so happy. And you wrote that you had dealt with homelessness in your childhood. You then went on to have, a quote unquote successful life. You had 4 children, you had the decorating business, and you fell into it, and it feels guided to me, doesn't it? It feels like that was
Yes.
definitely your path. And I'm wondering, you've won so many awards, and the Martha Stewart's People's Choice Award and the Detroit 2020 Award, and you've got an enormous amount of awards. Tell us a little bit about the impact that you have created since launching Enchanted Makeovers. Tell us a bit about this history of your non-for-profit and the impact that you've had and you still have.
Well, the awards are great, but um, that's just another, I feel like that's another way of saying keep going.
Yeah.
Because obviously the lives are the most utmost important to me in the stories. We've impacted thousands of lives across the country and people internationally. We've met with women that have left Michigan to go to Australia and make impact in their own shelters.
Mm.
So I don't know what's on my heart right now is I just answered a call to volunteer.
Mm.
I was raising my 4 children and I never thought it would come to this. I just kept going with my heart and it kept healing. The women's stories was a mirror of me having to look at my own life, what I needed to heal. It continues. I mean, I feel right now that I'm a teacher in life, but I'm also many times a student through this process. And it evolves. I mean, it went from a dorm to a sewing program to we have our, excuse me, to our programs, our handmade programs. I didn't have any ducks in a row. People say you should have your ducks in a row when you start a business. I didn't have that. I just had my heart and I knew I had a story to share. Um, the women did too. And I'm just standing beside all the women and we're walking together.
Yeah, which is
And I noticed
beautiful.
that's happening with the community. The community has stories that make quilts.
Mm.
They're battling with something. It might not be human trafficking or domestic violence, but we all have something to share. And I think that's why this has to be full circle, that everyone has a voice. Um, and we're all walking beside each other.
Yeah, and that's so true for you, but really for everybody, which is why we do She Can. Terry, so you install sewing rooms and shelters, you make empowering capes for children and distribute them. You make dolls and repurposed old dolls and make them beautiful for children in shelters. You have beautiful handmade pillowcases that people make and you distribute them that have little messages written on them. It really takes a village, and you bring that village together to help people and women and children in shelters. What do you tell us a little bit about the transformation that you feel that is taking place in those mothers and children when you make the spaces more beautiful?
Well, I've always believed that handmade is healing. There's that positive energy and love that's placed in each item. And what the feedback we've received is many women have shared how they now notice that there's light shining through their window.
Mm.
I mean, what a beautiful, how powerful can that be?
Yeah.
Um, if you're in that dark place and um, you can miss those things, those little, just things that we notice every day. I've had women share how they feel like they're living in a dollhouse. And to me, what they're saying is, I feel precious.
Mm. Yeah,
Don't we all want to feel precious? Don't we
absolutely.
all want to have a voice? Um, I feel part of what I've been called is to speak to the little girl from within.
Mm.
I think that's why I feel that's why people want to be a part of this is it always goes back to the childhood. There's always something there that we need to nurture, and from there that we can become stronger and then become warriors.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about the women. I mean, I many have said you feel like a mother figure to me. Um, they have shared things as when they were children that they've never shared with even their therapist. I've heard people say when you share from your heart and you go to that place, it gives other people permission to be able to share their stories.
Definitely. Definitely.
I just share. I never thought of it that way, but I guess that's what happens.
Yeah.
And I thought that that's the most, yes, we are transforming a space with handmade goods and people serving with their talent, but we know it's a tool for something much greater because the
Yeah.
women eventually leave the shelter.
Mm.
But if we can ignite that heart and mind to know that you are a true warrior, and to teach about the power of our mind, because that's what the traveling pillowcase is all about.
Mm.
It's not about the travel size pillow. That was me at 9 years old when we were going through just moving here and there and just the trauma. Um, I could escape in my mind. I
Yeah.
traveled anywhere I could. So that's why it's called the traveling pillowcase. And that's the message behind that, that I want all women and children to know, and the makers that make the pillowcases.
Yeah.
So there's a deeper meaning behind the capes for kids. It's not about Superman. We believe you have everything within you to be your own hero.
Yeah.
The cape is just armor as a reminder.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And dolls, obviously, dolls were very important to me as a little girl. I realized as an adult, when I was taking care of my doll, I was taking care of myself.
Yeah.
So I want children to be able to have that they can comfort their dolls. And it's just a reflection of I'm taking care of myself too.
Mm. Terry, and how do you feel you lead now? You've been leading this organization for a long time. What really matters to you now, and how do you lead?
I always have led from my heart. Um, I just want to bring joy to people and to bring hope and really love and light into people's lives.
Mm.
No matter if you live in the four walls of a shelter or because that's what's the only thing that's different. The four walls are different.
Yeah.
And it's grown. I mean, I've written children's books after the programs. I never thought that would happen. It was just being able to transform that dorm, and I had no clue how I was going to get volunteers or money for that. I just had to use my voice and go out and be a warrior for the women. And I continue to do that with the volunteers, is to ignite the community and to ignite towns, is to take action. I've always shared, what are tears if there's no action?
Mm.
So I don't mean you have to go out and start this huge nonprofit, but can you do something? Can you be a voice? Like what you're doing, you're now a messenger for the mission. You're sharing what we're doing, and that makes that ripple effect.
Definitely. Terry, you've been very successful in getting support. You have Sheryl Crow, who is quoting the incredible impact of your work. You've been on the Kelly Clarkson show. I know that you do it for the women and children, but are those moments you're really proud of?
Um, for me, a lot of times it's just I had a prayer many years ago. I, I've always, as a little girl, I was always very shy,
Mm.
and the bullying made it worse because then being shy, you don't speak up. And my prayer was just give me a voice so I can be a voice for other women and children.
Mm.
So I feel that those blessings of the Kelly show and just the media supporting us is another confirmation, is to keep going. You do have a voice,
Yeah.
and so many other women and children also do. So I'm like a vessel to be able to use to empower and give a voice to so many.
Yeah. Terry, so what tips can you give to other people who are starting non-for-profits, who are thinking of starting, who have this desire in their hearts to bring about change?
The best advice, I mean, I always felt like the most successful nonprofits is always something that hits home.
Mm.
You know, I've had people contact me and say, I want to start a nonprofit. They just want to start one. But I said, what is your cause? What is it? What is your story?
Mm.
Well, I just want to start one. For me, I can only share my story is I had the tears. I took the action. I didn't have all the answers. I just went out into my community and started sharing the women's stories of why we need this to transform this dorm. Um, Sent emails out. And from there, I built those relationships with corporations. And it took many years to build that they said, we now want to be a partner with you.
Yeah.
Like our sacred sewing room, we're very, that was because of my mother. We started that. My mother battles with depression. And I knew that we had to also have this program so women, that gives them a voice. Obviously, it's therapeutic, but you can learn a skill. And from there, that's where it spread to Polyfill is one of our big partners to make sure that there's pillow forms that women can just learn how to make a decorative pillow, to the stuffing that women need to make dolls. I would say the best advice really is to wipe your tears and take action. You don't have to have all your ducks in a row. Like I said, I didn't have the volunteers or money. I just stepped out and I took that leap. I knew this was, I mean, if you think this is going to be an overnight success, whatever success is to you, it wasn't for me. And I still feel that there's so much more that needs to be done. So that would be my best advice, is
So,
just to take action.
yeah. Tell us what else needs to be done, Terry. What else do you feel is is there for you? What does success look like for you in the future? What else in terms of impact would you like
I
to
think
have?
success for me right now is the girl, the 9-year-old girl from within has already told me, you've got this. Because it always goes back to her. She told me many years ago, you've got this, you're a warrior. That success is that healing through this process. The next piece would be is that more communities, more corporations that reach out to us, is when we change the way we serve, it changes the way we see each other. And that's the biggest piece of going out more and more to speak to churches, to corporations, is instead of just being in that line and we plop that food on the plate, what if we did a buffet and we shared a meal together? And that's just one little bit of a piece of changing the way we serve. We have the patch project, and that is just a little handmade patch in the importance of our name. And that gets attached to the capes. And that was me at 9 going to the hall to get a Christmas gift. And we had to stand this perfect line. I'm grateful. I still have that fake, it's a little fake Holly Hobby jewelry box. It's not the real Holly Hobby. And we stood in the perfect line. The volunteers stood against the walls. And there is so much shame and embarrassment in poverty. And my thing is to change that. I've been working on that for 17 years, is that we can change that by the way we serve. And when I'm going to the patch, is that when the gentleman came up to me, he said, come here, girl, pick out a toy. How about how much change it would be if we didn't have to stand in the perfect line, that the people against the walls didn't seem so like gawkers, but we stood together through that process of picking out a toy. He asked, what is your name? it's just those simple things. I have gratitude for that day. I still have that item, but I think there's many ways we could change it, that child doesn't have that shame and embarrassment.
And the mothers don't have the shame and embarrassment and the guilt to live with. And to just, it's
Yes.
very, very small ways of intentionally being a human, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. That piece would be success if we had more of that across the world.
Yeah. And you want to speak to that more of in the future.
Yes, I through the years I've had the speaking engagements and the podcast, but to get that more ripple effect across the world is that we could I commend anyone that's serving in their community, but we can tweak it a little bit, that it just changes the way we serve. It changes the way we see each other just by how we're doing things.
Yeah.
And I don't judge people. I don't think they're aware of that. So that's why I'm here to kind of guide. For instance, there was a mother, when we're done with the transformation, there was a cape laid at the end of the bed for her little girl. She had her handmade doll on her bed, and I had her all wrapped up. And the girl picked up her doll, and the blanket fell off. Now, her mother was a teen mom. She had just another baby in her arms. And my heart went to share with the mother without saying anything of how to properly wrap a baby.
Mm.
And I did that with her mother standing there with her daughter. And I said, this is how so she's nice and comfy. Right there was guiding a young mother with love just through that process.
Mm.
And the little girl was like just so like consumed of, I want to make sure my baby doll is it's comfy and warm.
Mm.
So those are
Beautiful.
little pieces right there of how we could do it without saying, come here, I'm going to teach you. It's just being that witness to it.
Yeah. Terry, I could listen to you for a long time telling all of these little stories that really show how we have an incredibly powerful and beautiful shared humanity, and we somehow lost the art or the daily practice of it. I think we are so divided and so entrenched in the otherness, right? Whoever is different from us, whether that's between genders or backgrounds or where people come from, and we judge very quickly, nonstop, if we feel somebody is different, and somehow it's fear inducing, which is the strangest thing, because as humans we have so much more that unites us than divides us. And I feel that with this program you were really able to bring together a lot of people in a shared humanity type way, and you lead with that, which is a very, very basic human principle, right? And we have many stories, whether that's in religion or other stories, where people took people in and looked after them. And it's so often very small things. It's not actually having to serve with the big things and a lot of money, or things that are often unattainable. It's very simple human things that we can do on a daily basis just for each other. Terry, so tell us a little bit more where you're heading with Enchanted Makeovers. I think you have a team and, you're in Michigan. So if people are listening, how can they contribute and where are you heading?
I always love people, like I said, to serve with their talent. So reach out to us. Go on the website, it's enchantedmakeovers.org, and just share a little bit. What is it you love to do? Do you love to quilt? Do you have a podcast? Serve from that place, and we will work with you. We love collaborations with corporations, small businesses. As far as what moving forward, I have another book that I've written, and it's about the pillowcase program that will come out in May. So we have a series on the capes for kids, the doll adoption, and the pillowcase.
Mm.
Really from there, I think what's great is I don't have all the answers because so much of it has been organically
Mhm.
um, evolved. And I truly know that that's part of, I don't know, that's part of listening to the people that I serve
Yeah.
and listening to my community and listening to my heart. So I've had some women say to me, "You've just begun." And you think, "Wow, okay, it's 17 years," but uh, I do feel that there's so much more in the future. I don't see the whole picture, but I do see. I don't know. I see a lot more people taking action, and
Yeah.
I'm just so very grateful to the community that want to listen and want to be a part of this village.
Yeah. Terry, so if you had one message for the world, and I sometimes say, if you could write a postcard to the 8 billion people on this planet, what message would it have on there?
What came to my heart is I am worthy.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
listened to that. That's immediately came to my heart. I am worthy.
Yeah.
And
And
that's for everyone.
you matter. Yeah. What
Yes.
a beautiful way to finish, I think, Terry. And thank you so much for your amazing work. Please, everyone, look up Enchanted Makeovers. There is many ways people can get in touch or be a part of it. If you have trade skills, if you're a renovator, if you have skills in terms of sewing or making things, then I'm sure you would love to hear about it. And Terry, we applaud you. We are so proud of what you've achieved. We're excited to what else is going to come, and we are very honored to have you on She Can.
Thank you so much.